I'm starting to think that there might be some infighting going on between Kamala and Joe. Follow me down this rabbit hole of a conspiracy theory, but the first instance was his appearance on The View when he said,
and as vice president, there wasn't a single thing that I did that she couldn't do. And so I was able to delegate her responsibility on everything from foreign policy to domestic policy.
Which to most people doesn't really mean anything, but to me, it seems like it could be partly strategic so that if Kamala Harris's campaign starts to tank, she can't then begin to blame everything on Joe Biden to try to boost herself back up. Now, that could have been by mistake or it could have been strategic. I can't really tell. But the second one, though, you'll be able to read on the screen recording that it says something like, this is Joe Biden's first press conference from the podium, his entire presidency. And he chose to do it at the very moment that Kamala Harris was also holding a press conference.
We were actually about to go live to Vice President Kamala Harris, who's speaking right now in Detroit, Michigan. And apparently she's talking about this port strike ending. She's trying to appeal to union workers. And yet you have the President of the United States come out clearly overshadowing her, answering significant questions. Is that a communications mistake? Is the left hand not talking to the right hand in this situation?
That's a very good point. And if they were coordinated, as you assume they would be, this would not have happened.
They said that they were about to cover Kamala Harris, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, unexpectedly, here comes Joe Biden. And what did he say at that press conference?
She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done.
Again, seeming to make sure that she couldn't use him as a scapegoat. Then the other thing that happens is Kamala Harris comes out speaking against Ron DeSantis, saying,
NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games at this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
One day later.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call. So I don't know. There was a rough start in some places, but every governor from Florida to North Carolina has been fully cooperative and supportive.
Then for Ron DeSantis to follow it up and say,
I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign.
It just doesn't look good. It looks like there's some type of infighting. Then one of the left-wing media sources tried to clean it up and say that Joe Biden didn't know that DeSantis was not answering Kamala's phone calls or whatever. But earlier that day, a reporter asked Joe Biden directly,
Mr. President, does Governor DeSantis need to take Vice President Harris's calls?
All I can tell you is I'm talking to Governor DeSantis. He's been very gracious. He's thanked me for all we've done. He knows what we're doing, and I think that's important.
He looked annoyed with having to answer that question, but he didn't say, yes, Ron DeSantis should answer Kamala's calls. Joe Biden said that he didn't want to leave the race. He was forced to leave the race. He said that he was not going.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that.
Well, on a more practical level, Washington Post just reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try and convince you to stand down because they don't think you can win.
Well, Mark is a good man. We've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination, too.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond?
I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. None of the people said I should leave.
But if they do?
Well, it's like, they're not going to do that.
You sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I get out of the race, the Lord Almighty's not coming down.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down, but if you are told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen.
I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. All opinions are welcome in the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.